Hello, welcome to the news review. Hundreds of asylum seekers have packed the border crossing in Turkey one day after Ankara said that it would open the gates for refugees to enter Europe. The migrants have gathered in the Turkish city of Edirne near the Greek border in an effort to get into Europe. Syrian refugees are among them, but Greece has blocked them from entering its territory. There are reports of clashes between Greek border guards and the migrants. Another European country, Hungary, has also said that it will boost the protection of its southern border amid the migrant flow. Turkey decided to allow refugees into Europe after tensions mounted in Syria's Idlib region. Turkey says it has already hosted a large number of Syrian refugees and lacks the capacity to receive more. Marcus Papadopoulos, publisher and editor at Politics First, joins us from London, and John Stepling, author and commentator, joins us from Inderoy. Welcome to both of you. Marcus Papadopoulos, we would like to say that Turkey is the one that's somewhat at fault here when it comes to opening up its borders, but at the same time it's got the backing, or I should say support, of the U.S. on this. What are the possibilities of them working in tandem with each other when it comes to this whole Syria thing?
I want to say something first of all, because what I'm going to say is not being allowed to be heard on Channel 4 News or BBC News or CNN or Fox News. The Turkish army has received a well-deserved drubbing at the hands of principally the Russian military, but also the Syrian military, because Turkey, ever since the conflict in Syria emerged in 2011, has been swimming in the blood of Syrians. Turkey armed and trained both Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Turkey invaded Syria. Turkey, to this day, continues to occupy Syrian lands. It is only inevitable, therefore, that the Syrian people are going to resist the aggression, the occupation of their lands by Turkey. What nation in this world would not resist an invasion of their country? When Saddam Hussein's Iraq invaded Iran, the Iranian people rushed to the front line to expel the Iraqi invaders. And I am not going to shed tears at all for those Turkish soldiers who were killed in the last week by the Russian military and the Syrian military. Those Turkish soldiers have been arming, have been training, and have been fighting alongside Al-Qaeda fighters. I am not going to shed tears for an army whose soldiers, and I'm talking about a Turkish army, whose soldiers photograph themselves and film themselves mutilating the corpses of Syrian women, and they are laughing as they're doing that. No, I will only weep for Russian soldiers, Syrian soldiers, Iranian soldiers, and Hezbollah soldiers who die in Syria, because they are fighting against terrorism. Now, turning to the refugee crisis, which could well erupt again in Europe, when Turkey wants concessions from Europe, Turkey turns on the tap and Europe is awash with refugees. And when Turkey believes that it's achieved the concessions that it sought from Europe, Turkey closes the tap and the streams of refugee columns entering Europe ceases. So in short, Turkey uses refugees. Turkey uses the lives of refugees as a bargaining chip. And as you correctly said, the Americans fully support that. But I just want to add as well that not all of those refugees are Syrian, and not all of those refugees are genuine refugees. Some of those refugees are extremists, some are terrorists, some are criminals. One only needs to travel to Germany, which received an influx of refugees in 2015, and ask ordinary Germans about their views on some of those refugees, and you will hear graphic and harrowing accounts of the crimes that some of those refugees have committed in Germany, including raping women and raping children. That needs to be told.
Right. Well, John Stepling, Turkey is saying, you know, we're going to let our borders be open for these refugees or asylum seekers to cross on over into Europe. Are you on Turkey's side when it comes to that, or how do you see that situation?
Well, Erdogan has a history of threatening Europe with this so-called turning on the spigot. He uses refugees as a tool of extortion, as Marcus pointed out. But since the attempted assassination against Erdogan, the Turkish military has been purged, and they have performed, really terribly. I mean, they've been defeated soundly over the last, well, since that purge, really, and that's not improved. So this is all feels like Erdogan kind of spinning off the edge a bit, of which he's prone to do. He may be looking at a face-saving solution to the problem, but the Arab states that supported him, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and so forth, in arming the terrorists, all the Takfiri fighters, jihadists, those states, the Saudis and UAE and different ones, have withdrawn support. I think only Qatar supports Erdogan at this point. So Erdogan is increasingly isolated. He's always been paranoid about the EU accepting Turkey, quite rightly, because they probably never will. And he feels used by the U.S., again, quite rightly. And he's kind of, in a diplomatic sense, bungled everything. The Syrians have been extraordinary in defending their country. The Russians have helped orchestrate that and aided the Syrian military. And Turkey has been, soundly beaten in all of these confrontations. But Erdogan's grand scheme is incoherent anyway. I mean, these ideas pop into his head, and he decides, makes these threats, and in that sense, he's a bit like Trump. He just reacts reflexively to a situation, and it hasn't done him any good service, really. So what's going to happen? I mean, Jens Stoltenberg scolded him the other day, and there's supposed to be a March 5th meeting between Putin and Erdogan, ostensibly in Istanbul. I have doubts that really will take place, but who knows? Turkey has very little. When you ask, are we on, am I or anyone on Turkey's side, it's very hard to support Turkey in any of this. I mean, they've been mendacious and dishonest and cruel, and they have supported the terrorists. They've been anti-Assadists and cynical, and there's very little to support there. And I think Erdogan is running out of options.
Okay, thank you for that, John Stepling, author and commentator. And thank you, Marcus Papadopoulos, publisher and editor at Politics First. And that does it for our news review. Thanks for tuning in.